All right, good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pilled News. Patriot is back in plaid. Hope you guys like the shirt. We've got lots of news to go over today. First of all, some very distressing information coming out of the trial in regards to a certain DC canvasser, staffer, IT guy who may or may not have been involved with handing over emails and other documents to a particular journalistic organization. I'm being vague for a reason. This is a hot button topic on this platform. Well, the judge in the defamation case brought by the brother of this staffer has ordered that Matt Couch and his team turn over all of their information, sources, recordings, messages. This is a terrible day for the Constitution and the rights of journalists here in America. On a good note, it looks like Attorney General Bill Barr has confirmed that the DOJ is assessing the credibility of Rudy Giuliani's Ukraine information. Also, over the weekend, Secretary of State Pompeo spoke to the U.S. Governors Association, and he told them that China has a list of sellout governors. He's seen it, so he knows who they are. Also, the members of the NYPD Police Sergeants Union are going off on Mayor de Blasio in New York after the attempted slayings of two NYPD officers over this weekend. And finally, Rudy Giuliani is speaking out about John Bolton, his former friend. We're going to learn about this. We're going to hear about a bunch of other things. So please do sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor. Imagine if you had received a personal invitation to invest in Uber when it was just a startup. Well, on IPO day, that $50 investment could have made you $248,250. And that same $50 invested in Amazon before it IPO'd could have made you over $7 million. Mike Markula was Apple's first angel investor, and on IPO day, his windfall was already 220,552%. But that was only when Apple was worth $1.8 billion. Just think how much Markula's investment grew as Apple blazed a trail to becoming the first $1 trillion company in U.S. history. And without him, things like iPhones, iPads, Apple Watches, and many other devices that we use on a daily basis might never have been invented. Look at these surprising returns from these popular startup companies, some earning as much as 583,264% in revenue surge. What would you rather be? The angel investor or the IPO investor? Well, the choice is clear as day. Fortunately, Shark Tank's Robert Herjavec and his team of ultra-successful angel investors are here to help deliver angel deals with life-changing upsides delivered to you on a silver platter. Watch the free video at www.getangelrich.com or click the link in the description below to see how you can participate in potentially lucrative deals before the mainstream even finds out about them. Once again, that's www.getangelrich.com, and when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around. First of all, today from the DC Patriot, Matt Couch and his America First Media Group, they have a major announcement. Source privilege and First Amendment rights have been denied to Matt and his team. However, the fight for truth will continue. Now, Matt and his team put out this press release basically regarding the situation with the defamation case that Aaron, the brother of SR, has against them in regards to several statements they've made, some press that they've put out, reports that they have produced. But the federal judge presiding over this case has ruled that the team does not have source privilege. And what that means is that they have to give up all of their sources, their recordings, video, audio, anything in regards to their investigation of this particular staffer who was taken off this earth shortly after the release of certain emails by a journalistic organization with the initials WL. If you think I'm being vague and it's too vague, please check the link below and you can get the direct link to this press release and you can see what I'm talking about. But anytime I bring this up on this channel, it gets some funny traction here, and the people who are watching these videos to make sure that I'm saying the the things that are acceptable do not like it. So this guy, of course, was a DNC staffer. We have long thought that he was a whistleblower, and he was taken from us on the early morning hours of July 10th in 2016 in the District of Columbia. Now, this investigation has brought a lot of things to the forefront, and Matt Couch and his team have done some incredible work. So what this is really about is the trampling of our First Amendment rights and the rights of journalists, because it has long been accepted that journalists should be able to produce their stories, get the information that they need, and use sources that they do not need to divulge. However, in this case, the judge has disagreed with that and said basically that Matt and his team are not journalists, or that the First Amendment does not matter in this case. So if this information is handed over, it could put at risk sources and methods, people that have come to Matt Couch and his team and given them firsthand accounts of things related to the suspicious circumstances surrounding not only this investigation, but the investigation of a process server by the name of Sean Lucas. And Sean was taken from us just shortly after this individual, SR, was right here. So very, very tragic circumstances here in our nation's capital, and it's my understanding that Matt and his team are seeking to do whatever they can to make sure this doesn't happen. However, by the end of business today, they have to turn this information in. Hopefully, we're going to have Matt here on the program very soon to talk about exactly what's going on, to talk about what he's going to do about this situation, and please do stay tuned. I will bring it to you as soon as it happens. Now, yesterday, our favorite Anon posted a single word: justice. What happened over the weekend? Well, we had the Vindman twins removed from their positions at the NSC. Now comes word that as many as 70 people are going to be removed from the NSC, and that's just the start. The swamp is most certainly being cleaned, as the president is bringing major cuts to the National Security Council this week. We also had the removal of Gordon Sondland, the ambassador to the European Union. So there is some major moves happening right now at the White House and happening in Washington, D.C. So there's a couple of things I wanted to bring your attention to. On top of that, it looks like President Trump and the White House have identified the anonymous author who penned the New York Times Resistance op-ed piece, and that person is also going to be fired this week. Now, this is according to Joe DeGenova, and he said that the anonymous resistor is going to depart the White House this week as President Trump continues to clean house and drain the swamp. In case you don't remember, that anonymous resistor who penned that op-ed for the New York Times also wrote a tell-all book, and it was apparently an unprecedented behind-the-scenes portrait of the Trump presidency from the anonymous senior official whose first words of warning about the president rocked the nation's capital. I think that's a little bit overboard. The book became available for purchase in November, and the DOJ got to work identifying the author. I am told that soon there will be somebody else leaving the White House who wrote that article. Victoria Tensing and I were at a dinner with the senior government official and were told that by this person that they have in fact identified anonymous. That right there is a direct quote from Joe DeGenova. Absolutely thrilling. Now, I want to take us directly to some posts from our favorite Anon. Several posts have come out since this morning, and they are very exciting. Now, first of all, in post 3850, the title is "Hunters Become the Hunted and Are Falling into Traps." We have this thrilling movie poster right here. Hunters become the hunted, Patriots in control. I love it. Now, to begin this post, our favorite Anon has an embedded tweet from Kyle Griffin, and it's actually the subject of our next article. It's Attorney General Barr has acknowledged for the first time that Rudy Giuliani has been giving the Justice Department information he collected in Ukraine, essentially bringing what was a stealth campaign into official government channels. And now it begs the question, is Rudy Giuliani the stealth bomber? Now, with the information he's provided from Ukraine showing all of the illegal activity and the deep state's activity there in that country, Attorney General Barr has acknowledged this information has been passed off and they are processing it. Let's get into the post. Love it. Now, the question here is, did Mueller open the door to Ukraine? Did Mueller open the door to FISA? Illegal. How do you introduce evidence legally? That would be through discovery. Did impeachment provide a platform to discuss findings of Ukraine? It certainly did. How do you introduce evidence legally? Did impeachment harm or help POTUS public? It helped him. He is 20 points up since that impeachment began. Now, how do you introduce D's high crimes, corruption to the public through a forum like we just saw? Why didn't POTUS remove Hussein holdovers from the NSC? That would be to trap them. Do you really believe that POTUS and team trusted Hussein holdovers to remain within the administration and worked to enact POTUS's agenda without bias or confrontation? And the answer there is clearly no. They knew exactly what was going to happen, and they allowed them to remain in their posts so they could then be removed for plotting a coup against the president. Now, how do you awaken the induced coma public, fake news control from their long sleep? You put it out into the public like we just saw. The country needed to wake up. I've been saying this for such a long time. The country needed to wake up. We needed to convince all of the other people who didn't understand how bad this was, who didn't understand what was going on. Now, everybody knows. Remember that call from C-SPAN from last week? Those California Democrats who said they would never vote Democrat again because now they've seen what they're willing to do just because they hate Orange Man so badly? Sometimes allowing your enemies to openly attack, logical thinking. Never interfere with an enemy when they're in the process of destroying themselves. Now, here it is this morning. Attorney General Barr was giving a press conference regarding the indictments handed down in the Chinese hackers who hacked Experian Credit Reporting Bureau sometime last year, I believe. Now, Attorney General Barr said on Monday during the press conference that the department is currently assessing information about Ukraine provided by President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, who says the information contained therein is a smoking gun. And if you've had the time to watch Rudy Giuliani's podcast, I highly recommend that you do. The information is most certainly not overstated here in this article. Now, the Justice Department has the obligation to have an open door to anybody who wishes to provide us information that they think is relevant, Barr told reporters during the press conference. But as I did say to Senator Lindsey Graham, we have to be very careful with respect to any information coming from Ukraine. So they are looking at it and they are evaluating and assessing it. Barr said reliable information is difficult to find because there are a lot of agendas in Ukraine and a lot of cross currents. We can't take anything we receive from the Ukraine at face value, Barr said. For that reason, we have established an intake process in the field so that any information coming in about Ukraine can be carefully scrutinized by the department to assess its credibility. He also added, and you know that is true for all information that comes to the department relating to the Ukraine, including anything Mr. Giuliani might provide. Now, of course, this weekend on Fox, Rudy Giuliani said that there are 3 witnesses who are ready to name names in an investigation into Hunter and corruption in the country of Ukraine, where the former vice president's son once held a very lucrative job on the board of international energy company Burisma. Now, in an interview with Jesse Waters on Fox News, Waters World, Giuliani said he found that smoking gun. Waters asked Giuliani if he had any documentation regarding Biden's business dealings in Ukraine, before adding that Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham will be investigating that. Lindsey, get started, Giuliani said, laughing before declaring he had what I used to call, when I was a U.S. attorney, the smoking gun. He said, "We've got the documents, Lindsey. This is a money laundering operation. It's about $14.6 million. It's a notice from the Latvian government to the Ukrainian government that Hunter Biden is under investigation for corruption." And he goes on to tell the entire story about how they take loans from one country, run it into the next, and then drop it into yet another country, and then into the U.S.-based accounts of people like Hunter Biden. Hunter was being paid more than $80,000 a month to serve as a rather ceremonial figure on the board of Burisma. The rest of the information is very familiar to anybody who's seen this program or even been following this tangentially. But it really looks like Rudy Giuliani has brought it home. And I think that based on that last post, it seems to me that Rudy Giuliani could have been the stealth bomber all along. Now, post 3851 regarding Vindman, bigger than Vindman, Trump scrubs the 70 Obama holdovers from the NSC. And this is Washington Examiner coverage of that story that I just pointed to. And it says, "We got what we needed. There is no step 5. Thank you for playing." Clearly, these people walked right into a trap, you guys. They walked directly into it. The American public have realized what's been going on. If President Trump and his team were just to come out and say this is what happened, everyone would have laughed. They would have said, whatever, Trump is crazy, just like they did when he came into office initially and said they tapped my wires. We were told that it was a conspiracy theory, that he was absolutely insane. Well, now it's come out. It actually happened, and there was no predication for it, and it continued even after this information became public. They had to take it all the way home, and they were not successful because these guys, the White Hats, President Trump, they were waiting for them. Now, post 3852, D's are trapped. And this is from 3596. What advantage might exist when you know the other side's playbook? And here is the definition of trap. Enjoy the show. And this Anon says, caught them all. We sure did catch them all. Now, our favorite Anon is foreshadowing the White House cleaning and the D's leadership being ridiculed in the streets. Remember this from April 2nd, 2018? Where we go one, we go all. Drops will go fast. White House clean signal. Marker. Everything is planned. Years. Message. Unity. Awakening. We fight. Lexington. Concord. Stay together. And then follow Bolton. Clean. Stage. Learn how to archive offline. The streets will not be safe for them. So Bolton just left recently, and all of this stuff begins taking place. And clearly, with the clips we've seen recently of Pelosi and Nadler both being heckled openly in the streets, they are not safe walking down the street. Now, what happened following Bolton's departure from the White House? White House clean. What happened following impeachment? President's approval ratings are way up. Nadler, Pelosi, Schiff cannot walk down the street. Imagine that. And we were told this a long time ago, guys. People who had faith, who trusted in the plan, knew exactly what was coming, and we are now seeing this prophecy fulfilled. And finally, our favorite Anon is an important back channel and the greatest military intelligence operation in history. Back channels are important. Attacks will only intensify. You attack those who threaten you the most. Enjoy the show. I certainly know I will. And wouldn't you know it, here from Methods, we have a fresh hit piece on our favorite Anon and the movement. I said further mischaracterization of the movement by the mainstream media, clearly freaking out that their reign is over. Hashtag we are the news now. In this piece by CBS, I believe this is CBS Online maybe, they talk about this movement and what it means, how people are characterized in it, the goals that we are seeking, the things that we do, and it is absolute malarkey. I insist that you guys go and take a look just for comedic value. I'm not going to play it here because I don't want to give them the time of day, but I did just want to say that it lines up perfectly with the last post from our favorite Anon. Now, next, we spoke about this over the weekend on at least one of the streams, but Secretary Pompeo was speaking to the U.S. governors of every state, and he said that the country that is experiencing a lot of issues right now in regards to a virus, and also the one that we are in a trade war with, they apparently have a list of sellout governors. He's seen it, and he knows which governor is favorable towards this country, which governor is adversarial, and which governor is neutral. He said that the governors were put together on a list by this country, China, and they were rated as friendly, hardline, or ambiguous. And they know who the friendlies are, they know who have sold out, and they know which ones are on our team. Then Secretary Pompeo dropped this little nugget. He said last year, a Chinese government-backed think tank in Beijing produced a report that assessed all 50 of America's governors on their attitudes towards China. They labeled each of you friendly, hardline, or ambiguous. I'll let you decide where you think you belong. Someone in China already has. Many of you, indeed, in that report are referenced by name. So here's the lesson. The lesson is that the competition with China is not just a federal issue, which is why I wanted you to be here today. So very interesting. Secretary Pompeo calling all of these governors in just to tell them about this little tidbit. Now, this must have sent a chill down the spines of many of the people in that room, especially if they know that they are favorable towards China. If that country has a list telling exactly where each of these people sit in regards to their attitudes on China, which ones have already been compromised and been paid off to do business with China? What's even worse is that the official party of the Chinese government had a special event hosted where they invited these governors and people in the states to come and do business with them, where they invested money in each of these states. And I'm sure that a fair amount of handshaking and deal making was done at that time. But most important takeaway is they are watching. Our own government is watching to make sure who is working against us. And if any of those governors in that room were not 100% patriot, their days are most likely numbered. Now, a very trying weekend for the police officers of New York City. There were two separate attempts to take out two different officers there this weekend, targeted and most certainly premeditated. Now, Mayor de Blasio is being called out by the members of the NYPD. They said, "We are declaring war on you." Now, this is from the New York City Police Sergeants Union. They are going off on de Blasio about these attempts on the lives of these officers. Now, police arrested Robert Williams, who is a suspect in both incidents. There is video of one of the attacks inside the 41st precinct. Let's go ahead and take a look. Very bold, very, very bold to just walk into a precinct and try to take the lives of two officers. Incredible. Only in today's world could this happen. And make no mistake, the climate that allowed this to happen is the responsibility of the Dems. Now, the Police Sergeants Benevolent Association blasted anti-cop Mayor Bill de Blasio following this most recent attack on police officers. Mayor de Blasio posted a tweet condemning the attacks on Sunday morning. Let's take a look at that. He said this was a premeditated assassination attempt against New York's finest. It was also an attack on all New Yorkers and everything we believe in. This must be a city where everyone can live in peace and respect. This individual attempted to destroy that. We will not let him win. It was a quiet Sunday morning when bullets started flying inside the 41st precinct. Our officers handled it with heroism and extraordinary skill, showing the true caliber of the men and women who served in the NYPD. Thank God our officers are alive. Now, those words dripping with hypocrisy when coming from someone like Mayor Bill de Blasio, who has been famously anti-police officer during his administration. Here is the response from the SBANYPD. They actually tweet quote him and say, "Mayor de Blasio, the members of the NYPD are declaring war on you. We do not respect you. Do not visit us in hospitals. You sold the NYPD to the vile creatures, the 1% who hate cops but vote for you. NYPD cops have been assassinated because of you. This isn't over. Game on." Wow. No uncertain terms there. What's even better is that they then tweeted support for President Trump. Let's take a look at that. President Trump said, "I grew up in New York City and over many years got to watch how great NYC's finest are. Now, because of weak leadership at governor and mayor, stand away, water thrown at them regulations, and lack of support, our wonderful NYC police are under assault. Stop this now." And the SBANYPD responded, "President Trump is 100% correct. NYS and NYC need the support of the Department of Justice. Criminals are being released. It's time we prosecute in federal court. The mayor is ruining NYC. Cops have been stopped from doing their jobs. NYC is under siege. Send in the feds." Wow, this is a pretty strong statement from them on two separate incidents right here. Completely unbelievable to think that we would be able to get to this point in this country. But what you're seeing here is the policies of the Dems in action. They have allowed this to happen, and it is only because of them that our men and women in blue are now finding themselves at risk and in a situation where something like this could even take place. All right, and finally, Rudy Giuliani appearing yesterday on Maria Bartiromo's Sunday Morning Futures. He said, "I don't know what John's up to. He's either a liar or a backstabber." Now, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani joined Maria Bartiromo yesterday following the acquittal of President Trump earlier this week. Rudy brought more information with him on the Biden family pay-for-play scandal in Ukraine, and he also unloaded on former National Security Advisor John Bolton. Now, Maria asked, what do you think's going on with John Bolton? This unpublished manuscript claiming that you, Mick Mulvaney, Pat Cipollone were present when the president asked him to call Zelensky paved the way for you to go investigate. Your reaction to Bolton? And Rudy says, I was never in such a meeting. 1100% never in such a meeting. I do not know what John is talking about, and I'm very angry at John because John says I was a hand grenade. At no time during the entire period this was going on did John Bolton, who I've known for 10 years and consider a friend, did he come up to me and say, Rudy, I'm concerned about what you're doing. I'm worried about what you're doing. Never. Instead, he says he went around my back to the Secretary of State to complain. And the Secretary of State said he didn't, by the way. So I don't know what John's up to. He's either a liar or a backstabber. Now, what I thought was really interesting is that in this interview, Rudy reveals that it was actually him who suggested John Bolton for the position of National Security Advisor. Now, when you put that together with these posts that we've got showing that Rudy's plan all along was to bring this information in and submit it after the house cleaning that took place at the White House, it seems to me that there's a strong possibility John Bolton and Rudy could all be part of the exact same plan. We talked about this on the program previously. No one has seen this manuscript from John Bolton. Everyone denies the claims made by John Bolton, except for the Dims. They are eating it up like sushi. They absolutely love it, and they are not stopping at anything. They just want more and more and more. Now, we have Rudy Giuliani here, who clearly is bringing actual evidence, but we've got only conjecture and rumor from John Bolton. Does that mean that John Bolton is just another part of this great and glorious plan? I don't know, but it looks like it to me. Well, guys, we were told that the White House clean would be the signifier. Everything has been planned for years in advance. The message, the unity, the awakening, we are fighting. John Bolton is gone. The White House is being cleaned. I think that we are at a major point in this plan. And I do still think that in the springtime, that's when we're going to see the big arrests start. So guys, keep your eyes open. Do not lose faith. Do not lose heart, and keep fighting. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless. Hey guys, it's Red Pill. Just one more thing. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has taken the time to support this channel. If you'd like to see some ways that you can support the channel, you can always check the show notes in the pinned comment of this video below. Whether you like, whether you share, whether you make sure that your notifications are on, any way that you support this channel means so much to me. I could not be doing this without you, and I could not do it without your help. Without people like you, this channel would not exist, so thank you so much to everyone for all of their many means of support. Don't forget to check out the merchandise store that is also in the pinned comment, and I will see you guys next time.